Neighborhood security officer Brandy with Security Secrets. If you want to talk about the kind of attitude and temperament it takes to be a good security officer, go ahead and hit subscribe now, and let's get into this gig. Attitudes. Who's got them? Who wants them? Who needs them? Uppers, downers, candy corns, and everything in between. Are you an asshole or a dick? Are you more of a hug-a-thug? Or are you sort of a combo of the both? What is your security style? That's what we're talking about today. How do you present yourself as far as your demeanor, your attitude, the way you handle situations initially going into it? Who decides what kind of level of aggression you're going to take? The person you're talking to. If they want to get all squared up and beefy, well, then you're going to escalate as well. But that's a whole nother can of beans. What we're going to talk about is just your regular, everyday, run-of-the-mill, your personality, how you talk to people. What do you think people think about you? I think there are, I hate to paint in broad strokes, but there are generally about 3 types of security officers. Got your people who wake up every day to piss off a new person, your hug-a-thug who over-empathizes, sympathizes, and is kind of a pushover, and someone who's kind of a combo of the two. So, in talking about that, if you are sort of a dick or an asshole to people, your goal is to piss people off, you want everyone evicted or removed or escorted out, you're going to tow every car in the parking lot, you're going to ban everyone from the property. Once the place is empty, you feel like your job is done. If that's you, comment down below, tell me why, how's it working for you? Maybe it does work. Maybe that's how you get shit done. If you're more of a hug-a-thug, where you're too nice, you're a little bit gullible, you're giving everyone a free pass, giving out a lot of warnings, how's that working for you? Are people still respecting you? Are you able to get your job done? Maybe it works to your wheelhouse. It works to the way you handle your situations. Or if you're a little bit of both, let's talk about that too. I think if you are a male security officer versus a female security officer, if I come into a situation and I'm more of a dick or an asshole or a bitch to someone, it can come off as me being naggy or catty or just bitchy, and people don't take me too seriously. If a man comes into the situation and he comes off more aggressive, they could get pissed off, want to square up more easily, and it could really escalate situations. On the other hand, if you're more hug-a-thug, generous, kind, gullible, if you're a female, then they're not going to respect you. If you're a male, it might work to your benefit, coming off a little softer. So I want to know what you think your personal style is. What would your residents, customers, whatever you're dealing with, how would they describe you? Or, would they say, oh my God, that guy's such a dick? Or actually, they're pretty cool. Sometimes they have to handle their shit in their situations. What do people think of you, and how do you go into just initial greetings? Are you kind of robotic and emotionally disconnected? When I worked at the jail, I was incredibly, emotionally disconnected from everyone because I can't treat anyone special. I can't take time out of my day to help one person because there's 400 or 500 other people that aren't getting that special treatment, and it will cause a riot and literally get someone hurt. Versus what I do now, if I take the time and help someone, it makes sort of a positive connection in the community, and, it works to my benefit. So some things work in some situations and some don't. Some can be dangerous. One of the strategies that I really like is starting off a little more aggressive. Male or female, doesn't matter. And if you're dealing with a male or female, if you start off a little more robotic, detached from the situation, here's the rules, we're going to enforce them. And if they start to kind of comply, whatever, And then you start kind of loosening up, not necessarily with the rules, but with your attitude, you know, like, hey man, I understand this is your backyard and you want to have a couple beers outside, but if it looks like I'm not doing my job, it's just going to get everyone in trouble. You know, it's going to get you in trouble. It's going to get me fired. You know, then it's sort of okay, I understand where you're coming from. So that's usually my go-to technique, is to start off, you know, at a 10 and bring it down and become a real person to them. That's what works for me. If I try to nag or start yelling and you know, if I yell at you, I just come off like a white soccer mom who's upset about her Starbucks order. It doesn't work for me. Versus my partner, who's a male, if he's got a big booming voice, so it's a little more intimidating, you know, when he speaks a little louder. So you kind of have to think of how someone else is perceiving you, I think, especially when you're dealing with male-female roles, because a female tone versus a male tone, you know, in your presence, you know, people pick up on that and they respond differently. You know, another thing I do as a female with, you know, the thugs, the, you know, teenagers who want to be thugs, you know, I'm not going to scare them off. I'm not going to change their life. I'm not going to break their cycle. I just make them uncomfortable. You know, oh, you want to hang out and smoke weed and try to sell, you know, your little piddly dime bags here on the corner. I'm going to stand right here with you and just make you uncomfortable. You know, I'll start taking selfies with you in the background. People don't like to have their picture taken. It's a scene, you know, and for me as a female, making them uncomfortable, they're just going to leave and go somewhere else because they don't like it. And it tends to work for me in my hood. But I want to know what you're doing. What are some out-of-the-box tactics that you really kind of manipulate your personality around to handle a situation? You know, I don't think there's a general temperament that works for, you know, everyone. There's not a universal tone or attitude. I think it depends on the situation, and I want to hear what you guys are doing, especially if you're doing something a little different. You know, I don't know a lot of security officers who just generally make people uncomfortable by hanging around. So that's something different than I do. Take it for what it is. I also want to shout out to the Stand for Security group on Facebook. It's a great community that I network with, chat with a lot of other security officers. That is not my network. I'm Tactical Beauty, Security Secrets, but they give me a lot of wonderful advice that I love to share. And hopefully this kind of coincides with a lot of things they say. So let me know what your thoughts are, some ways you handle situations, and definitely hit subscribe, and we'll go from here.